Good morning.
Good morning.
Cheers. We have our coffee.
Cheers.
Okay. We have some excellent questions for you guys today that we're going to answer.
And a lot.
But we're not going on tangents today. We are
I'll try.
Focused. Okay. So I wanted to talk about the scale first. So we're going to talk about when the scale became a thing, and we're going to keep it really short.
Why are we going to talk about the scale? What's happened recently?
Oh, it's been a week. Something's in the air, in the water, and quite a bit of us have gotten on the scale, or maybe just not feeling very weight happy. So
Weight secure.
So Randy and I were talking, and we said, we have to live an authentic life. We believe in that, and one of the things that we feel very passionate about is that we hate the scale, and most of you know that. I think all of you know that at this point. So I said, you know what? I'm done. I am done. It is not part of our program. I am out of alignment every time I encourage someone to step on it. So if I had a scale, I don't own one. If I had one, I would show you and I would break it in front of you. So the only thing that I really wanted to say before Randy gets into his thing is the scale is, I want you to start looking at it like it is a toxic relationship, right? It's one of those toxic relationships that we have that we know is
when you're in your early 20s.
College, man. And we know it's not really, really healthy for us, but we're really cozy in this relationship. And there's good times and there's hard times. But, mostly there's hard times. But we're just gonna stick it out. Even though it is super stressful, we're gonna end that toxic relationship.
It's like a verbally abusive relationship.
Right.
Yeah. The scale is very mean to you.
Yeah, it's a frenemy, or like a mean boyfriend. So we're done. We're just done.
And also too, this is not just for women. A couple of the guys that I work with do not like the scale. Like it is not. It's just not good. And it's also not good too, because when you're looking good, you're feeling good, your clothes are fitting you better, and then you step on the scale and it might be flat weight loss wise, or maybe up a couple pounds, then it makes you question
everything.
And
when we spiral.
So here are just a few things on why the scale is not good.
Well, no.
What?
Why was the scale even?
So the history of the scale, for humans, the scale has been used for trade. We all see, you weigh your bushel of apples and people got paid. The scale came to the United States, North America, a different kind of scale. I believe it was created in Germany, and they used it as a coin-operated thing for carnivals. Okay,
let that sink in. It was a carnival attraction.
Circus tricks. It was almost like the people that could guess your weight. So they brought scales in, or the fake, palm readers. So that's how the scale became popularized. And then some companies here saw it and they're like, we can make some money. So they started manufacturing them here. They started putting them in movie theaters, pharmacies. What else did I tell you?
I don't remember.
They just started putting them everywhere, and you literally put a penny in there, and you
could see,
and you could guess your weight. So scale, go back 100 years, people didn't even really weigh themselves.
Wasn't a thing. You didn't go to the doctor and step on a scale.
Yeah, your doctor wasn't weighing you.
Okay, so we are not going to have a carnival attraction in our home, right? No, thank you. No, we've got enough circus in our house.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here's some that she wanted to get the funny thing out of the way, because when I told her that, she was like, "Oh my gosh!"
I'm not surprised, but.
So why the scale is a bad measure for success? Doesn't account for your actual body composition, bone density, fat, water, Women typically
muscle.
Women will see the scale go up around menstrual cycle,
Yep.
right? You retain water. Daily fluctuations, and yes, there are people that think they should weigh themselves daily
or multiple times a day.
And the theory is I'm going to catch it, which I'm like, well, is it a leprechaun? And is there a pot of gold? I'm going to catch it. What are you going to catch? Like,
it keeps me on track.
Yeah. Here's another one. And this is what we see, is it fuels an obsession, and it becomes another disorder, just kind of like disordered eating. You get scale obsessed.
Yeah.
You ignore non-scale victories, right?
Yeah. Nothing matters unless
clothes
that number is
fitting
down.
you better.
Yes, it doesn't matter. The number's still up.
Yeah. And that is what we see, and why we're just like, hey, this is not really good.
Right.
It can lead you to unhealthy practices, where you have to crash diet, right? Your scale, if you're weighing yourself often, you're up a pound, you're like, okay, I have to eat less food today.
Yeah. Totally.
And
I'm totally guilty of this, guys.
Number 6 on here is very, very important, is the emotional impact. So you weigh yourself, it doesn't say what you want, you get upset, you get stressed out, you just send your cortisol through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Cortisol.
You spiral and have a really bad day.
Cortisol makes you hold on to body fat a little harder. So
Yeah.
none of this is good.
None of this is positive.
And the other thing too is when you go to your doctor, a couple of you weigh in at your doctor and that's it.
Yeah.
Look at the back of your doctor's scale and see when it was calibrated. You're supposed to calibrate scales, every 6 months to a year, right?
And isn't it like the more you use it, the more frequently you need? Yeah.
Yeah. The more you use it, the more it gets serviced. Like weight sports, like wrestling, boxing, where they're weighing in often, those scales are calibrated every single time. So your doctor's scales probably aren't accurate. We bought a fancy scale when we saw the studio, and people were shocked. They thought they were weighing a certain weight, and they weighed on this one, and they're like, "Wait, what?" But my doctor's scale said,
right,
blah blah blah.
Yeah, it's inaccurate.
So also too, this goes into the BMI, and the BMI, body mass index.
That's another conversation. But
we'll just quickly say, because that's become what the medical world has adopted. The BMI was created in the 1850s or 60s, and it's completely outdated. There are pick a Hollywood crush that everybody knows. Don't they like Jason Momoa?
Yeah, he's cool. Yeah,
Well, let's go with Aquaman and Thor. Okay.
Okay, yeah, Thor.
So you got Chris Hemsworth and you got Jason Momoa.
I'm just gonna go Chris.
Okay.
I'm Team Chris.
Both of those guys, when they look like Adonis, right? They're ripped, they're shredded. They would be considered probably morbidly obese on the BMI scale.
Yes.
Most NFL players are considered morbidly obese. Yeah. People go back 100, 150 years ago, they didn't have the same bone density.
Right.
They were much, much shorter. Mm-hmm. I think 100 years ago, the average man was, 5'6", and now it's like 5'9". So BMI is terrible as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just they're always trying to put people in a box.
Yep.
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
Yep. 1830 to 1850 is when the BMI was created. So people were much, much smaller.
Yeah, they were. Okay.
Okay.
So that's that on the scale.
And listen, if you want to use the scale, then
you have to ask me first.
Yeah, and talk to Jess. And
no, but really, like let's talk about it. Let's put it on the schedule. If it truly just is a number for you.
It wouldn't be a bad idea for some people. They weigh in when we start, and we weigh in like every 3 to 4 months.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk about it. We'll move forward on that.
All
okay.
Right, what's next?
Carry on. Here we go. Okay.
Do we want to talk about, since the scale and
yes. We'll just keep it all relevant.
Plateaus,
okay,
anything weight related.
Okay, so Alex wants to know, what are common reasons why your weight would fluctuate in your fitness journey? Like, why would you go up? Why would you then go down? Why do you plateau? Melissa wants to know, why do you plateau? So that's kind of the same question.
Yeah, so we have two people.
Yeah.
Weight loss and weight gain it's never linear, right? I made the joke and told Justin, like, well, when people are gaining weight, they don't step on the scale and it goes up every single day,
right,
or even weekly.
Right.
It might go up and then stop. So
it is an over time gradual thing.
Correct.
Right.
I mean, most people, if they gain a lot of weight, it's typically over a decade.
And let's actually, if we could reframe weight to fat, right? So gaining fat takes time. Losing fat.
Well, it can. It sometimes it can go very, very quickly. So what is your question with that?
Why do we plateau? And why would weight flip?
Fat. Weight and fat. Muscle.
Yeah.
Bone.
Yeah.
Also, too, real quick, and it is on my other notes. Why another reason to this, and this is all relevant. Sorry, we're jumping around. Depending on men or women, it's anywhere from like 65% to 75% of your total body weight is made up of bone, muscle, and organs.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
relevant.
You don't want to lose weight or size in any of those things.
No.
So those are things, fat ends up being a pretty small.
And that's why I really want to hone in on
the scale and
fat loss.
Yeah.
We are not in this to lose bone and muscle.
No.
Okay.
So, and that's another thing. We don't want to talk weight anymore. We really want to talk measurements. We want to talk fat.
Yes.
Clothes fitting you better, because then you're losing the correct kind of weight.
Yep.
You don't ever want to lose muscle.
No.
You lose muscle. That's
basically a sign of aging.
That's how we start to die.
Yep.
We become sarcopenic. So.
Sarcopenic.
Okay, so back to plateaus. Here's what happens. Most people we work with, in the first, 60 days, 90 days, you will probably have 10, 20. We have somebody right now that's lost like almost 20 pounds in their first 90 days. Your body's responding really well.
Yeah.
Your body, once you start losing weight, is very smart, because also losing weight and losing it quickly, your body doesn't like that. So your metabolism will slow down. Your body will sometimes make tell your brain to move a little bit less, so we don't burn as many calories. So our bodies are really smart. The same thing when we start gaining weight. Now, if you're really just losing that weight and it's body fat, that can kind of keep moving down and down and down, but it's going to be a much slower progression.
Yes.
Sometimes we lose a bunch of water when we stop eating processed foods and sugar.
On that.
Okay.
This is really relevant too. So say you've had a day where you have eaten, breads and pastas, or it's been a celebration and you've had a lot of like baked goods.
Water weight
for 1 gram of carbohydrates.
Yeah, for every 1 gram of carbohydrate you eat, you're going to store 3 to 4 grams of water weight. Yeah.
Okay.
And typically liver and muscles. So
that's bloat and water retention. So then if you get right back on track and you're moving a lot and you're, lowering your carbohydrates and you're like, oh my gosh, I've just dropped 5 pounds. Yeah. Of water.
Water.
Carry on.
Yeah. And that's why I would tell people, most people don't want to carry extra water weight around, right?
Right.
Lowering your carbohydrates or getting your carbohydrates from fruits and vegetables is the most optimal way to make sure you don't retain water.
Yes. Okay. So that's okay. So plateaus are normal.
You're always going to plateau. We can, Corey her graph. I mean, her graph it's like here, and it was here, and then straight for a little bit, and then drops, and then even back up, and then down. So, and that's well over a year. You just about, and it doesn't even matter when people are very heavy too. They'll lose a lot of weight in the first, 3 to 6 months, but
and then
they're
you're
going to plateau.
Flatline, and then you're going to maybe go up, and then maybe
down. And
here's
the other thing. There's something called the set point theory. Our bodies adapt to what we do most. So if you have spent, a decade or 20 years at a certain weight, like say you were 35 pounds in high school, had kids, and you just stopped doing anything that was remotely healthy, got up to 200 pounds, and you stayed there. and maybe you weren't, maybe it was like 195, 205, this and that, but your body is used to being at 200 pounds. It takes a long time, because our bodies are intelligent, to get it okay and used to start dropping some of that weight and things to start coming back down. And it's very sneaky. And that's why you keep hearing us say, each protein, each protein, each protein. Some of you listen, some of you try, some of you just tell us you can't. If you are eating...
That's not true.
Oh,
that's
well,
I
have people tell me that. When there's an abundance of protein, your body realizes there's an abundance of food and health and everything else, and it puts your body in a state where you can just start, it's not going to hold on to body fat as much.
Right, like if we want to get fluffy, our body is trusting us. That's sweet. Like, that's good, right? Because if you've been a chronic dieter, your body doesn't trust you. Body's like, oh no, this crazy lady's trying to starve.
So here's another thing, and we've been really digging into this with individuals. We are realizing that some of you have been putting yourself in a calorie deficit, severe calorie deficit, for your whole life, for decades. So that affects everything. It affects your hormones, your metabolism. That affects your bone density. That affects your skeletal muscle. In a negative way. So there's some people who are like, hey, you're in like, the recommended that medical professionals would tell you is like 250 to 500 calories a day deficit. We have some people that are, 800 to 1500. You will not lose weight like that. You will not lose body fat.
Right.
It won't happen.
Yep. So eat more, move more.
Yeah.
Holla. Okay. Very
well,
good.
Eat more of the right things. And move more in an intelligent way.
Right, okay, carry on. Should we go Kim? Kim wants to know, what are our thoughts on keto diet and whole foods
And since
diet?
we have a lot of questions and that took up a lot, this is going to go probably like 30 minutes because we're 17 minutes in. So.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keto diet. Quick, because this is on top of mind. They just compared the keto diet and the Mediterranean diet. Keto diet people, they were trying to get them to lose 10% of their body weight because that's the, what's that stupid drug? Wegovy, Ozempic.
Ozempic?
That's what people brag about. Oh, you can lose 10% of your body weight. The keto diet outperforms Ozempic. So what happens is they got people to drop, like in 30 days, if they did a very strict, intelligent keto diet, they'd lose 10% of their body weight. The Mediterranean diet took 90 days. Now, long term, like going like 6 months or a year, the Mediterranean diet outperformed the keto diet because people feel like
it's more sustainable.
So the best one of those is doing more like a keto-ish Mediterranean diet.
Yes, which, we would, so then, Kim, to answer your question, we love the whole foods diet.
If you guys are following what Jess and I want you to do by even 80-20, you're eating a high-protein whole food diet. With you are eating less carbohydrates than you were eating before.
Yes.
Most of you. Some of you.
Remember, the average American...
It's like 250 to 350 grams per day of carbohydrates.
Okay. That's not necessary.
No.
Okay, so did we answer that? Carry on.
So just the keto diet is you're taking and it's very individual on your size, your gender, your activity level, right? Yeah. But typically you're eating less than 50 grams a day of carbohydrates.
Yes. So we like keto, but for long term, it's not so great. It really can kind of mess with your hormones.
Well, some people, you might lose weight in the first week to 10 days, and then you will start gaining weight because your women's hormones can fluctuate.
Yeah, it's really delicate.
It can be dangerous with your electrolyte levels.
Yep.
So you have to do keto the correct way. You also have to eat a ton of protein.
Yes.
So...
Okay.
Hopefully that answers that. So yeah, if you guys have, and listen, as people progress, we have no problem trying to get you to dip into, ketosis for, a couple weeks and then, come out of it correctly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's fun. Okay. We'll go Megan. Megan wants to know, is there a thing for like eating and training for the female cycle?
Megan, I love you, but what influencer were you watching talking about this? Let's talk about that first, and influencers. They're starting to apply fake news and misinformation to the health space now.
If everyone could get off of social media for 30 days.
Everything is clickbait, and telling the truth has now become, what's the word I'm looking for?
Oh, no.
Polarizing.
Ooh.
So, no. One of the Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, I was just listening to her talk. She's amazing in our space. She was talking about that, and she was like, no, women don't need to change their training. She said, so listen to your body.
Listen to your body, always. Now, if you're feeling, it's right before your period and you're just like dragging, right? Highly recommend eating some liver. And if you do not have the energy to do like your, resistance training or whatever, great. Go do yoga. Do some Pilates. Go for walks. But resistance training is one of the best things you could do to stabilize your hormones. Mm-hmm. Let me say it again. Resistance training is one of the best things you can do.
Not cardio?
What? So a lot of these influencers will tell you, you need to do yoga and just, rest and make sure you're drinking your ginger tea. Okay, that's wonderful.
I saw maybe sprinkle some butterfly wing dust in your coffee, and that helps with your
I don't know. I'm all about,
cycle.
Just pop open that red tent again.
Unicorn glitter.
Fan me, give me some grapes like you used to do.
So, no, don't change your training. Listen to your body. If you are tired, but even if you are feeling tired, you should try to do some resistance training.
Yes, I do agree.
Lift heavy.
Yes.
6, 8 reps.
You will feel better after.
You will feel better, and keep it short.
Mm-hmm.
Liver, especially for women, like right before you're actually going to start your menstrual cycle, and even during, like a ½ ounce to 1 ounce of liver will actually negate a lot of the iron loss, a lot of the vitamin A, like all these things. You will feel better through it. Now, liver, you're going to have to figure it out how you like it. It's hard. We tried it raw the other day, and it was not fun.
I could do it.
Okay. I did not like it.
Okay. But if you are going to play around with anything raw,
if you do raw liver, you got to freeze it for like a month.
Yeah. Okay.
What are we on to now?
Okay. Awesome. So Mel. Food and feelings and how they affect each other. I love it. Why are you laughing?
Because I was having this conversation with Matt the other day about when he eats, when they just say, hey, I'm going to eat whatever I want. How does it make you feel? I could tell you how I feel is if we do really sugar, that's one of the only things I will overeat. And I will feel achy and I will feel grouchy. She will look at me like I'm the angry grizzly bear waking up out of hibernation. I don't tolerate gluten, so gluten gives me brain fog. Most people don't even know how food makes them feel. You have to eat very healthy for, like clean for a while.
Well, and you also have to
and then you have to stop and think about it. Yep. So the things that affect us, so processed foods, you're going to feel the most. Sugar, seed oils. If you're sensitive to caffeine will make you feel differently. But I mean, eating lots of good protein and fruits and vegetables should keep you very even keel.
Yeah, and then for the most part, you'll bounce right back.
And even us too, like there's so much good food to eat out here. We rarely eat out anymore because even if we eat healthy, I mean, protein, vegetables, no dessert, no chips, no salsa, we eat super clean, we still feel different the next day.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Your food is always going to be your best at home.
Yeah.
But food does affect your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Completely.
Yeah.
Sugar.
Well, and I think
feelings
affect your food too, right? If you're feeling a little low, then
sugar makes her a monster, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not nice. Okay. Right.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Got a sugar monster flashback.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll go. Marie wants to know for thyroid issues.
Yep.
What can we do naturally so we don't have to increase our thyroid medication?
So your thyroid is a very wonderful, looks like a little butterfly. Right here. Your thyroid will take up synthetic chemicals, and it'll take up space for nutrients. So To answer your simplest question, getting iodine is the number one thing you can do to help with your thyroid function. Iodine salt, sea salts in general, salt as a whole is very good for your thyroid. Again, we've all been conditioned, salt's the devil, you're going to have high blood pressure. It's actually not true, it's not how it works. Salts are good, cruciferous vegetables are good, so your broccolis, your cauliflowers, Brussels sprouts, those have good things that help your thyroid. Making sure you should just never drink, I mean, really, most of us, your tap water. Water that is in plastic bottles. Now, unless it's something you poured in there that was cold, all plastic, when the water gets warm, it doesn't matter, the BPA free, it leaches into the water. All these chemicals, your thyroid will take them up, and it just, again, takes up space for nutrients. Eating too low of calorie.
And too low of carbohydrates.
When we work with people and they are on thyroid medication, they were also a chronic dieter. 10 out of 10 times.
Yes.
So if you chronic diet for long periods of time, your thyroid continues to downregulate. And then you end up on thyroid medication. Low protein, again, proteins is very, very good for your thyroid. So,
fat. I thought that was.
Fat is, I mean, yeah, because your thyroid regulates all hormones. And that's another thing. If your thyroid is low, then all of your other hormones can typically be off as well. So, yeah, vitamin D, increasing your adequate levels of vitamin D will help keep your thyroid hormones where they should be.
Yeah.
So, and if you get your thyroid tested, talk to us beforehand, because there's 4 markers that you want your doctor to test.
Okay.
Does that answer that?
Yeah, that was great. Okay, Verity, if you have a family history of heart issues, what can you do to support heart health? So
first of all, family history is a little bit of a myth, the way it's actually used. What they find is that when they say family history, there was unhealthy practices and behaviors through generations. So I'll pick on myself, like grew up seeing dad smoke and drinking milk. Not getting good sleep, snoring. Dad has heart attack. So if I would have done those things, I might have already had a heart attack too, right? So it's not necessarily family history. Now, there are actually DNA markers. The only real DNA marker, that the prevalent one, which makes you your body just produces too much cholesterol. Hyperfamilial cholesterolemia. That one is directly linked to it, but that is typically identified when you're in your teens. You will have cholesterol through the roof. So it's unhealthy behaviors. That's what we see. So the best thing you can do if there's a family history is get blood work done. But don't buy into what the doctors tell you, because here's the other thing. We just had somebody, their husband was put on a statin, and he didn't even have high cholesterol. His blood sugar was a little high, and they just put him on a statin and said, well, there's a family history, and you already have you're on metformin. So we're just doing this. That's pretty much how doctors are trained now. One medication, they'll put you on 2 or 3 others. You got to stop, and we got to think pragmatically on this. So move, get outside, walk, exercise, be active, just being active, being an active human. You guys hear us tell you that more individually, like stop trying to be an exerciser and be an active human.
Yeah.
Eat how we tell you to eat, which is protein, healthy food, vegetables, berries. You don't need processed foods. There's not a specific shortage of processed food or a vitamin in there. Most people really, unless you have some actual genetic makeup, you probably really don't need medications, and you definitely don't need them as we get older. A lot of that has just been sold on us. If you take care of yourself, your body will take care of you as we age. So eat the right foods, and then sleep. It is crazy, and we'll just use kids because of my conversation yesterday. If you have parents, all know this about how disrupted your sleep is when you have littles, right? We've went through it with both of them.
Yep.
How much, if you go through 3 months of that, how much negatively that'll affect your hormones? You will see it on your blood work just by your sleep being off. So metabolic disease ends up being the term that gets thrown around now for all of the your heart health, but it's now into heart, diabetes, brain, Alzheimer's, dementia. Everything is wrapped in metabolic disease. The number one driver for metabolic disease is insulin, which is because you're eating, if your insulin's up and off or you end up being a type 2 diabetic, it's because you didn't move enough and you're eating too many carbohydrates, typically too many processed carbohydrates and too much sugar, which is why we did the sugar challenge. There is no place for added sugar unless it's every once in a while. It's just really not.
Okay.
So, and even down to blood pressure. You eat a lot of sugar binge all the time, you will do damage and you will have high blood pressure. Mm-hmm. It's not salt like they tell us.
Okay.
So
there we go. Okay, last question from Jenny E.
One more thing on heart health. Sorry, cod liver oil. Little bit, 2, 3, 4 times a week. Cod liver oil helps with heart health. Plus, it's got bioactive available vitamin D and vitamin A. So.
Okay, love it. So Jenny E wanted to know this fiber situation, right? Everything she reads says to have beans, lots and lots of beans in your diet. She wants to know, how is that even possible? How could that be healthy when beans cause so much GI distress?
Well, good job, Jenny, for knowing what works for you, number one. All of these, the United North American, these medical bodies, they just make blanket statements, right? Eat your grains. Well, if you're like me and you actually have a DNA marker for celiac disease, you can't really eat grains. You feel like shit. So beans are the same way. I don't eat beans either. They make me feel terrible. Yep. There's 2 types of fiber, right? And the one nobody ever teaches us, like the actual fiber that's good. The fiber from berries is good for you. It can get through the stomach and it can actually get down into the lower GI tract. That's what you want. Most people, when you eat berries, you don't feel gassy.
Right.
Most people, when they
don't turn into a water buffalo.
And that too. And if beans make you gassy, they typically are going to make you retain water. So there's things called FODMAPs. They are these fermentable carbohydrates. You eat them, they go all the way down through your stomach, and they just don't break down like they're supposed to. Some people are very sensitive to them. They get down into your lower GI, and then they're still just sitting there.
They're fermenting.
And they're fermenting. Anybody that knows anything about fermenting releases gas. Mm-hmm. You don't want that. We're supposed to eat food, and it's supposed to pass through us quickly. We're not supposed to have things just sitting in there hanging out. So pay attention to that. Some people, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, the fibers in there might mess with them.
Yeah.
If you have IBS or Crohn's, they tell you probably don't really eat fibrous foods because you want things to just kind of go through you.
Okay, so then best ways to get fiber.
And listen, beans are not good for you, like we've been told.
Right.
So
but let's stick on fiber. So then one of the best ways to get fiber in would be from fruits. Fruit,
berry, sweet potatoes, cruciferous vegetables.
Yeah. Unless you can't tolerate them.
Yeah. And definitely don't, if you feel like you need to take a fiber supplement, we need to talk about that too. Most people, you don't need to take a fiber supplement. You need more water and electrolytes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so then the other question she had was, and this is the last question, how does taking an SSRI affect weight loss?
Great question.
Yes.
And if anybody's on any kind of SSRI, go, before you start taking something, go do your own research or talk to us and look up the side effects of the medication. And not just any SSRI. We had somebody that got put on a something for inflammation, and this drug causes severe liver damage and hair loss and all things. Well, she was having hair loss And I'm like, you need to get back to your doctor, get off this now, because the hair loss and the liver damage were associated. So
anyway,
do your
her
own
doctor
research.
agreed, and also said you have a very good coach.
And it's funny, so she eliminates gluten and sugar. All of her rheumatoid arthritis symptoms go away.
Yep. It's beautiful. Okay.
All right, appetite changes. So SSRIs, again, anything that's affecting your brain chemicals,
You just said
serotonin, affecting, sorry. And specifically SSRIs, it seems like they want to make you eat more carbohydrates, the high calorie dense carbohydrates. And it seems like they just make you overeat. Your metabolism, so metabolic effects. It seems like SSRIs can slow down your metabolism, and they want to make you store things more than when you were not. Activity levels, so SSRIs can make you don't want to move as much. And that probably has to do with your activity and your metabolism are linked. So if your metabolism slows down, your activity will go down by default. Hormonal changes. And this also will go back into cravings too. And this specifically says the regulation, it can affect leptin and ghrelin. So leptin and ghrelin are basically hunger hormones.
Yep.
So yeah, your appetite and your hormonal changes are connected there too.
Yeah.
And retain water.
Yeah.
So it's just saying right here that actually feeling bloated
it's a side effect.
And again, by looking at the hormones and looking at your appetite, that's probably why there's a fluid retention. You're overeating carbohydrates, and you're moving less.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's always good to, when you talk to your doctor about these, sometimes people need to go on these, but hopefully there's always a strategy that it's a short term to help you get through whatever you're going through. And there are plenty of studies out there that look at SSRIs, drugs in general, talk therapy, lifestyle modification. And in these studies, lifestyle modification always outperforms the other two groups and doesn't have side effects. But sometimes you need some drugs.
Sometimes you need them.
Sometimes you need your talk therapy.
Yep.
And then you need lifestyle modification.
Let's do it all.
Yep, there should be. And that's actually a part when you have a good doctor and they're talking to you about, hey, losing weight, exercise, getting sun, all these other things. But listen, we still might give you this for a little while because you need it, but we need to work on these other things too.
I want to know one of the best ways when you guys are going for your walks outside, don't wear your sunglasses.
The person I was talking to yesterday that has very, very low vitamin D, I said 15% of your vitamin D is made through your eyes. So most of us are indoors. Yep. We wear sunglasses. Yep. When we're out in the sun, we're in our car, and it blocks out all the UV rays.
We're wearing our sunnies.
How many years has it been now?
It's been 2.
Yeah, we stopped wearing sunglasses. Sorry, our camera
just turned off.
Just decided to beep and quit recording.
But anyway,
vitamin D.
Yes. So one of the best ways to feel happy is
produce more vitamin D.
Well, it's to feel happy. When you go for your walks or when you're driving, really try to train your eyes to not have to wear sunnies all the time.
It takes a little bit of work.
It does.
I felt like a vampire because I started wearing sunglasses when I was probably like 12, wearing those cool Oakleys.
For sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So. I love my Ray-Bans, but I don't wear them anymore. Okay.
All right.
We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Bye.